My dear friends, there is something mighty in the way a woman rises. You can see it in her walk, you can hear it in her voice, and when she decides to stand, oh, the ground shifts beneath her. When we talk of empowering women, we are not speaking of favor or charity or granting a seat at a crowded table. We are talking about unleashing a force that has always been there, often silent, too often unseen, but never broken. The world grows fuller when her light is no longer dimmed. A woman who knows her worth is a woman who walks with her head held high and her feet rooted deep. She does not ask permission to dream. She does not wait for a hand to pull her forward. She learns to open doors that were once sealed shut, and when she opens them, she does not enter alone. She brings her daughters and her sisters and even the sons who have learned to see her as whole. You see, when we give a woman the chance to learn, to lead, to lift, we are not just building her future. We are building homes with stronger walls and warmer hearts. We are strengthening economies that have long leaned on her back, but never honored her voice. A mother with power raises children who know compassion and courage. A daughter with hope becomes a woman who refuses to shrink. A sister with freedom will not let the next one fall. Empowerment is not loud. It does not need to shout to be heard. It is in the quiet confidence of a woman who starts her own business. It is in the strength of a grandmother who teaches the children that knowledge is a birthright. It is in the boldness of a young girl who stands up in a classroom and speaks her truth. It is not a threat. It is a promise. And it is not just her promise. It belongs to us all. To empower a woman is to empower a village. It is to bring food to the table and healing to the soul. It is to raise voices that can sing and hands that can build. It is to widen the circle of justice and light up the corners that were left in shadow. When we give her the room to grow, she does not just blossom. She makes gardens where deserts once lay. And yes, the world may resist. Yes, there will be those who fear the sound of her footsteps when she walks in her purpose. But let them watch, let them see that her strength is not against them, it is for them, because a world that uplifts women is a world that uplifts men too. It is a world where boys are taught to honor instead of dominate, to respect instead of fear, to stand beside instead of in front. When women are empowered, something beautiful happens that stretches far beyond the woman herself. Her growth becomes the growth of all. Her strength becomes the strength of many. It begins in the quiet corners of her home, where her decisions shape the hearts of her children and her resilience becomes the rhythm of her household. A woman who believes in herself speaks differently. She nurtures with intention. She leads with grace. She teaches by example that dignity is not something to be granted, but something to be carried with pride. And as she rises, the family around her begins to rise as well. When a woman has a voice that is heard, the love she gives becomes guided by confidence. She becomes a lighthouse, not only lighting the way for her own path, but illuminating the steps for those who walk beside her. A mother who is empowered teaches her sons to respect strength in all its forms, not just the loud or the forceful, but the kind and the patient. She teaches her daughters to be bold without apology and gentle without fear. She becomes a living lesson in courage and balance, proving that love and leadership can live in the same breath. Communities built on the foundation of empowered women are communities that grow together, not in competition, but in collaboration. A woman who stands tall invites others to stand with her. She builds not with bricks alone, but with a spirit of compassion and clarity. Her influence spreads through every connection she makes, in the schoolyard, in the workplace, in the small shops and meeting halls. She begins to shape the culture, shifting it from silence to strength, from inequality to fairness, from judgment to understanding. When women have access to opportunities, education, and safety, the whole community feels the difference. Health improves, children do better in school, hunger fades, crime falls, conversations deepen. It is no longer about giving her something extra. It is about restoring the balance that was never meant to be broken. Her empowerment becomes a bridge, not a wall. It becomes the medicine that heals more than one wound, the spark that lights more than one candle. A society that empowers women is a society that understands that true power is shared. It does not fear her growth. It does not silence her song. It listens, it learns, and it grows right along with her. Because when women are included in the story becomes richer, the solutions become smarter, the love becomes wider. It is not about who leads more or who follows less. It is about walking forward together, with every step rooted in mutual respect. So let her rise, let her speak, let her earn and lead and create and care, because her rise is not a threat, it is a blessing. Her rise means stronger homes, wiser children, kinder men, and united communities. And in a world that so deeply needs healing, we cannot afford to leave behind the very hands that carry half the sky. Let us not just speak of empowering her. Let us live it every day, in every way. Educating a woman is one of the most powerful choices a society can make, not only for her own life, but for the lives that ripple outward from her. When a woman gains knowledge, she gains a vision. She begins to see the world through a lens of possibility. She understands her worth not as something dependent on others, but as something rooted deep within her. And once she knows what she carries inside her mind and spirit, no one can take that away from her. A woman with education becomes a woman with choice. She can decide what to believe, where to go, what to build, and how to protect what she loves. She teaches her family not only how to survive, but how to grow. She brings wisdom into her home and courage into her relationships. She challenges the old fears that have long whispered that she is not enough. She becomes an answer to that lie, clear, confident, and full of light. Her education becomes a seed that blooms in many directions. In the classroom, she learns not only letters and numbers, but the power of her voice. And when she returns to her home, she passes on that power in ways books cannot measure. She reads to her children with joy in her tone. She helps them ask questions and seek answers. She becomes their first guide, their first role model, their first example of what it means to strive and believe. Her daughters look at her and learn that learning is their right. Her sons watch her and learn that intelligence wears every face. In her community, an educated woman becomes a beacon. She may start a business, join a council, write a book, or simply help another woman find her footing. She understands the value of listening and the responsibility of truth. She is less likely to be misled, less likely to be silenced, and more likely to stand up for what is fair. And when women like her multiply, the entire community becomes stronger because they are building from wisdom, not from fear. Education is not simply about books, it is about awakening. It is about shifting a life from darkness to direction. It gives her the ability to care for her family's health, to understand her rights, to contribute to solutions, and to dream without boundaries. It helps her recognize when she is being denied and how to push back with grace and strength. It gives her tools, but more importantly, it gives her the belief that she is meant to use them. And this benefit does not end with her. Studies show what the heart already knows, that when a woman is educated, her children are more likely to go to school, to stay in school, and to succeed. Her family is healthier, her choices are safer, her future is brighter. And none of that is isolated. It touches neighbors, friends, and generations to come. To educate a woman is to tell her she matters, to tell her she is seen, to tell her she is capable of more than survival. And when she believes that, she becomes unstoppable. So let us build schools where there were none, open books where there was silence, and give every girl the chance to see herself as a mind and a soul that can move mountains. Because when she learns, we all rise. Women's leadership is not about overpowering, it is about balancing, healing, and guiding with both strength and tenderness. When a woman steps into a position of leadership, she brings with her a perspective that has been shaped by generations of resilience. She leads not just with logic, but with empathy. She listens not just to respond, but to understand. Her presence at the table does not dim the light of others, it adds warmth to the whole room. And when she rises, She lifts not only herself, but all those around her. In many spaces where decisions are made, her absence has been long felt. But when she is present, the conversation changes, the solutions deepen, the pace slows, just enough to consider the people behind the policy, the hearts behind the numbers. She does not shy away from tough choices. She faces them with courage and clarity. Her leadership is not loud, but it is rooted. It is not boastful, but it is steady. And when she speaks, people do not only hear, they feel. A woman leader brings resilience born from struggle. She knows what it means to be underestimated. She knows how to carry both pain and progress. She understands how to build while healing, how to speak truth without bitterness, and how to lead with dignity even in the face of doubt. Her leadership is not one that seeks power for power's sake. It seeks to create change, to mend broken systems, to invite voices long ignored. She makes room not just for herself, but for others. And that is the kind of leadership the world needs. She leads in boardrooms, in classrooms, in homes, in fields and movements. Leadership for her is not confined to a title or a position. It is how she carries herself, how she holds others, how she refuses to break when everything pushes against her. When a woman leads, she teaches the next generation that strength does not always shout and that success does not come from stepping over others. It comes from standing firm in who you are and helping others do the same. Communities led by women see more inclusion. Decisions reflect real-life needs. Projects focus not only on profits, but on people. Women leaders advocate for health, for education, for safety, and for peace. They bring to the table the knowledge of lived experience, the weight of caregiving, the value of collaboration, the necessity of kindness. They are not less ambitious, they are differently ambitious. They do not only chase results, they build legacies. Her leadership inspires trust. It encourages others to speak up, to participate, to take ownership, because she leads with the belief that everyone has a voice worth hearing. And when others feel seen, they give their best. They bring their hearts to their work. They stand taller, speak clearer, try harder. That is the quiet miracle of her leadership. It multiplies itself in others. When we empower women to lead, we are not shifting power, we are restoring balance. We are saying that the table is long enough for everyone, that compassion and competence can walk side by side, that authority does not have to raise humility, and that leadership is not about being above, but about being among. So let her lead, let her vision take shape, let her spirit rise, because when she leads, the world does not lose its way, it finds its center. Economic empowerment of women is not just about income, it is about independence, dignity, and the ability to shape one's life. When a woman has the tools to earn, to save, to invest, and to build, her entire world shifts. She moves from surviving to thriving. She no longer waits for permission to act. She becomes the decision maker, the provider, the creator of opportunities, not only for herself, but for everyone around her. Her success is not isolated. It feeds into families, into neighborhoods, into nations. When a woman earns her own income, she walks differently. She knows her choices carry weight. She does not need to beg or compromise her values to meet her needs. She can provide for her children, care for her parents, support her dreams. She builds security not through dependency, but through action. She teaches by example that a woman's hands are not just for nurturing, they are also for building, for managing, for leading in the economy. And the impact does not stop with her. Studies across the world show that when women earn, they reinvest most of their income into their families and communities. She feeds her children better. She sends them to school. She saves for the future. She supports local businesses. Her economic empowerment becomes a cycle of giving, a quiet revolution of care and contribution. The entire economy begins to shift because her presence brings a steadiness, a consistency, a long-term vision that uplifts everyone involved. A woman with access to capital, to training, to fair wages, and to property rights is unstoppable. She does not need to wait for someone else to carry her. She builds her own ladder and climbs it rung by rung. She enters markets, opens stores, runs farms, leads companies. She becomes a force not only in her home, but in the greater financial system. And her perspective enriches the way we define success. It's no longer just about profit margins. It's about sustainability, equity, and community. Still, in many places, barriers remain. Women are denied loans without a male cosigner. They are paid less for the same work. They are overlooked for promotions, pushed out of industries, or expected to do unpaid labor in the name of duty. Empowering women economically means breaking down those barriers one by one. It means recognizing her potential and giving her the same access, the same trust, the same respect. It means choosing to believe in her ability to lead, not just in the household, but in the market. This empowerment also protects her. A woman who has her own resources is less vulnerable to abuse, less likely to stay in harmful situations out of financial need. She can make choices that are safe, that are just, that are hers. Her wealth is not simply material. It is mental. It is emotional. It is the freedom to stand in her truth and walk her own path. Economies where women are fully included do better. There is more growth, more stability, more innovation. This is not just a moral issue, it is a practical one. The world cannot afford to leave half of its talent and potential untapped. Empowering women economically is not about competition. It is about completion. It is about allowing every hand to build, every voice to contribute, every mind to imagine. So let her earn, let her own, let her lead in business as she leads in life, because when a woman is empowered economically, she does not rise alone. She takes the world up with her. Empowered women raise children who are shaped by strength, nurtured by wisdom, and guided by love that does not waver. When a woman stands tall, her children watch her with eyes wide open. They learn not just from what she says, but from how she lives, how she handles challenges, how she claims her place in the world with both courage and care. A mother who knows her worth plants seeds of self-worth deep in the hearts of her children, seeds that bloom into confidence, compassion, and clarity. A child growing up with an empowered mother is raised in a home where dignity is not demanded, it is lived. Respect is not forced, it is felt. The air itself becomes filled with the quiet assurance that one's voice matters, that choices have meaning, and that no dream is too distant to chase. Her empowerment creates an environment where boys grow into men who value women not for how quiet they are, but for how true they are. And girls grow into women who do not apologize for their dreams, but honor them as sacred truths. She teaches in the way she walks through her day, balancing work and family, setting boundaries, speaking up, giving without losing herself. Her strength is not in how loudly she speaks, but in how clearly she leads. Her children see her taking decisions, solving problems, learning new things, handling money, and creating peace out of pressure. And in those daily actions, she is raising children who will one day shape the world with that same blend of grace and grit. An empowered mother nurtures emotional intelligence in her children. She encourages them to speak honestly, to feel deeply, to express themselves without shame. She creates space for curiosity and welcomes the questions that come from growing minds. Her strength becomes their security. Her belief in herself becomes their foundation. Her refusal to settle becomes their motivation. She does not raise them to be perfect. She raises them to be whole. When a woman is empowered, she brings intention into parenting. She models resilience, the kind that does not break even in storms. She teaches responsibility not through punishment, but through example. She shows them that respect is earned, not by control, but by consistency and care. She teaches them that love is not about losing yourself in others, but standing beside them in truth. In many places, women have raised children with empty hands but full hearts. Even without resources, they have managed to pass down strength. But when those women are empowered, when they are given education, support, safety, and opportunity, Their parenting becomes even more transformative. They are no longer surviving. They are shaping futures with intention and clarity. And the impact of that cannot be measured in numbers alone. Her influence moves through generations. Her daughter becomes a woman who knows she can lead. Her son becomes a man who knows how to listen. They become citizens who treat others with kindness, who build instead of destroy, who lift instead of push down, all because they were raised by a woman who refused to be less than who she was meant to be. So if we care about the future, we must start with the women who raise it, because every empowered woman becomes the root from which empowered generations grow. Uplifting women creates a more just, inclusive, and peaceful world for all. It is not an isolated act of generosity. It is a deliberate step toward balance, healing, and shared humanity. When we uplift women, we are not choosing sides. We are choosing wholeness. We are acknowledging the gaps that have long been ignored and finally filling them with truth and equity. It is not about making one voice louder than another. It is about making sure every voice is heard, every story is honored, and every soul is allowed to stand in its light. An inclusive world is a world where no one is left behind simply because of who they are or what they were born into. When we lift women, we expand that circle of belonging. We say yes to diversity of thought, to richness of experience, to the beauty of difference. We open doors that should have never been closed. We change conversations that were once one-sided into dialogues that welcome every point of view. And we build communities that reflect not just the needs of some, but the needs of all. A just world does not fear equity, it embraces it. Uplifting women means confronting systems that were never designed with them in mind. It means questioning long-held beliefs that silence instead of support. It means reimagining leadership, education, health, and justice through a lens that includes the hands that have always worked but rarely been acknowledged. It means recognizing that justice is not complete if half the world still waits for it. And when we begin to uplift women, that justice becomes more than an idea. It becomes a living, breathing reality. Peace grows where dignity lives, and no lasting peace can take root in a world where women are still oppressed, violated, or ignored. Uplifting women brings stability because it brings fairness. It reduces conflict because it raises dialogue. It heals families because it heals the woman at the center. It bridges nations because it builds trust from the ground up. The peace women bring is not the silence of suppression. It is the peace of understanding, of connection, of shared purpose. They do not just end wars, they prevent them. They do not only patch wounds, they work to make sure others are not hurt the same way. When women are uplifted, they become part of every solution. They innovate, organize, teach, protect, and inspire. They create systems that value people over power and cooperation over domination. They offer wisdom shaped by experience and insight sharpened by resilience. And their leadership is not separate from their compassion, it grows from it. They carry the stories of generations and the vision for generations yet to come. And when their hands are free to build, the world becomes something stronger, softer, wiser, and more complete. To uplift a woman is to uplift a nation. It is to choose hope over fear, progress over stagnation, love over limitation. It is not just a step forward, it is a turning point. And every time a woman is given a chance to rise, the world around her becomes more human, more fair, more free. So let us not hesitate, not doubt, not delay. Let us raise her high and watch as justice finds its voice, inclusion finds its rhythm, and peace finds its way home. When we empower women, we do far more than lift individuals. We lift families, communities, and the very soul of our world. Her strength strengthens us all. Her education enlightens generations. Her leadership balances the weight of progress. Her economic power fuels the dreams of many. Her role as a mother shapes the hearts of the future. And her upliftment plants the seeds of justice, peace, and belonging that every society so deeply needs. This is not a favor. This is not a trend. This is a truth. Empowering women benefits everyone, and the time to act on that truth is not someday, it is now. Thank you for walking this path of understanding, and may you carry these words forward with purpose. Good luck on your journey to be a part of change. Let's rise together and rise for all. Ladies and gentlemen, sisters and brothers, souls bound by the thread of humanity, today we gather not as strangers, not as separate voices, but as one people, one heartbeat, one force mighty enough to shake the foundations of injustice. We were not born to be divided. No walls were carved into the earth by the hands of the Almighty. No chains were placed upon our wrists by the winds that sweep the oceans. Yet here we stand, walled off by fear, chained by history, bruised by the weight of inequality. But hear me now, no burden is too heavy when lifted together, no distance too wide when crossed with courage, no injustice too strong when met with the unbreakable will of a united people. Ladies and gentlemen, sisters and brothers, hear me now. The chains that bind the weary, the barriers that divide the many from the few, the walls that rise between us like great shadows, none of these were placed here by the stars, nor by the rivers, nor by the winds that whisper through time. No, these chains were forged by human hands, linked together by fear, by greed, by the long and trembling hands of history. And if man can build them, then man can break them. I have seen the weight of these chains. I have seen them press against the shoulders of the poor, tighten around the dreams of the silenced, and drag down those who dare to walk upright in a world that tells them to bow. They are heavy, yes, but they are not eternal, because no chain, no wall, no barrier stands stronger than the will of a people who know their worth. No injustice can outlast the fire of truth. We've been told time and time again that the way things are is simply the way they must be. We've been told that poverty is natural, that oppression is tradition, that some must rise while others must fall. But I ask you, who decided this? Who cast the first link of these chains? Who dared to say that one life is worth more than another? That one voice should thunder while another is hushed? It was not the mountains, nor the rivers, nor the sky that chose this path. It was men. And what men build, men can unmake. The chains of injustice are not bound to our bones. They are not written into the stars. They are not the final word. I have walked in places where voices shake the air like rolling thunder, where hands once shackled now break steel with their strength, where spirits once crushed rise like the sun over the horizon. I have seen the power of the people who refuse to be caged. Do you hear it? The sound of footsteps marching toward justice, the sound of voices no longer trembling, the sound of barriers breaking beneath the weight of truth. That sound is history shifting. That sound is change. But hear me well, chains do not break by silence. Walls do not crumble with whispered hopes. Barriers do not fall at the feet of those who simply wait. No, change comes when hands reach out, when voices refuse to be hushed, when the mighty and the small stand together and say enough. Enough of doors shut in faces, enough of laws written to bind instead of free, enough of watching the few feast while the many starve. If we have the power to build these chains, then we have the power to unmake them. Link by link, law by law, voice by voice, do not be fooled into thinking that justice will come by waiting. Do not believe the lie that change is a slow and patient thing. No, justice is not a whisper, it is a roar. Change is not a river, it is a storm, and we the people must be the force that brings it forth. The chains of injustice are man-made, and so are the keys to break them. Let us be the hands that hold those keys. Let us be the voices that shake the wall. Let us be the force that together tears down every barrier, breaks every chain, and builds a world where none are bound and all are free. We shall rise, and we shall not be moved. There is a weight that has been carried for far too long, a shadow cast over the hearts of many, a trembling in the voices of those who have been told to stay small, to stay silent, to stay in their place. That weight is fear. Fear that speaks in quiet warnings, that moves unseen between us, that builds walls where there should be bridges. Fear divides, but courage, my friends, courage unites. I have seen fear walk into a room and still the air. I have seen it press down on the shoulders of the bold, whisper into the ears of the dreamers, and plant seeds of doubt in those who were born to rise. Fear will tell you that you are alone. Fear will tell you that no one will listen, that no one will stand beside you. Fear will try to build a cage so strong, so high, that you forget you ever had wings. But listen to me now. Fear is a lie. It is a trick played by those who wish to keep their power. It is a story told by those who benefit from your silence, and if we let it, fear will keep us apart, keep us divided, keep us looking at one another as enemies instead of allies. But what happens when we refuse to be afraid? What happens when we stand hand in hand, shoulder to shoulder, no longer trembling, no longer whispering, but speaking, singing, shouting for what is right? That is when the chains begin to crack. That is when the walls begin to fall. That is when justice steps forward, no longer waiting, no longer asking, but taking its rightful place. I have seen the power of courage. I have seen it in the eyes of a child who refuses to believe they are less than worthy. I have seen it in the voices of women who will not be silenced. I have seen it in the hands of men who choose to build rather than destroy, to lift rather than tear down. And hear me now, courage is not the absence of fear. No, courage is feeling the fear, knowing its weight, knowing its voice, and choosing to move forward anyway. Courage does not wait for the perfect moment, for the safe road, for the easy path. Courage steps into the fire knowing that the only way out is through. They will tell you that fear is natural. They will tell you that some things cannot change, that injustice is too strong, that the road is too long. But we know better. We know that change has never come from those who waited in silence. We know that justice has never been a gift, it has been a fight. And we together, standing side by side, will not let fear steal what is ours to claim. We are stronger together than we could ever be apart. One voice may shake a room, but 1,000 voices shake the world. One hand may build a bridge, but 1,000 hands will move mountains. The walls they build to keep us apart, to keep us afraid, to keep us small, those walls were never meant to last. They will crack, they will fall, and when they do, we will be ready to walk through, together, unshaken, unafraid. Fear divides, but courage unites. And we, the people, will not be divided, not today, not tomorrow, not ever. There are those who have spent their lives building walls. Walls of hate, walls of division, walls meant to keep people apart. They build them with fear, with ignorance, with hands that would rather push away than pull closer. They believe that love is weak, that love is fragile, that love can be crushed under the weight of history, under the force of oppression. But they do not know love. They do not know its strength. Because love is the bridge that no hatred can burn. I have seen love stretch across rivers, across borders, across boundaries drawn by those who fear its power. I have seen love defy the rules written to keep it in chains. I have seen it rise when everything around it has fallen. Love is not soft. Love is not something to be trampled. Love is the fire that refuses to die, the light that no darkness can consume. There will be those who tell you that love is not enough, that love cannot fight injustice, that love cannot break the chains of oppression. But I ask you, What has ever changed without it? What movement has ever lasted without love at its core? Love is not just a feeling, love is action. Love is standing when others sit. Love is speaking when others stay silent. Love is reaching out a hand when others turn away. Hatred is easy. Hatred is taught. Hatred is passed down like an old story told so many times that people begin to believe it is truth. But hatred is a fire that burns everything in its path, even those who feed it. Love, on the other hand, is a force that builds, that heals, that creates. Love says, I see you. Love says, I will stand with you. Love says, your fight is my fight, and together we will not fall. They have tried to make us believe that we are different, that we are too far apart to ever come together. They have told us that our names, our skin, our faith, our love, our dreams make us separate, but they are wrong. We have always been one people, one force, one fire, burning too bright to be dimmed. And it is love that reminds us of this truth. Love is not the absence of struggle. Love does not mean we do not fight. Love means we fight harder. Love means we push forward not with fists of anger, but with hands of purpose. Love means we do not let the walls stand. We do not let the chains hold. We do not let the voices of division speak louder than the voices of unity. I have seen love move mountains that hatred could never shake. I have seen love turn strangers into family, turn enemies into brothers, turn silence into song. And I have seen those who build walls tremble when they realize that love cannot be stopped, that love cannot be torn down, that love will cross every bridge they try to burn. They may build barriers, but love will break them. They may try to keep us apart, but love will bring us together. They may try to silence us, but love will make us louder than ever before. Love is the bridge that no hatred can burn, and together we will walk across it. There is a silence that lingers in the air, thick like smoke, heavy like chains. A silence that has been taught, encouraged, demanded. A silence that tells us to look away, to lower our voices, to accept what is given, no matter how little, no matter how unjust. This silence is not peace. This silence is not wisdom. This silence is a weapon wielded by those who fear the truth, by those who benefit from our quiet. But hear me now. Our voices must be louder. I have seen what happens when people whisper in the face of oppression. I have seen injustice walk freely when no one speaks its name. I have seen doors slammed shut and laws written in stone while the people stood by, watching, waiting, hoping that someone, somewhere, would say something. But silence does not protect. Silence does not heal. Silence does not build the world we dream of. Silence allows the walls to grow taller, the chains to grow heavier, the powerful to remain unshaken. But what happens when we refuse to be silent? What happens when our voices rise, one by one, gathering like a storm, rolling like thunder, shaking the ground beneath the feet of those who have held power for too long? That is when the cracks begin to show. That is when fear shifts from our hearts to theirs. That is when the mighty begin to tremble because they know once the people find their voice, once the silence is broken, there is no turning back. They have told us that our words do not matter, that our cries for justice are noise, that our demands for dignity are foolish, that our truth is inconvenient. But we know better. We know that every great change, every movement, every revolution was built on the voices of those who refused to be quiet. We know that justice is never given. It is spoken into existence. It is shouted into the streets. It is written in the history books by those who dare to say no more. And so I ask you, how long will we let them silence us? How long will we let them turn our words into whispers? How long will we wait for someone else to speak when our own voices are just as strong, just as powerful, just as necessary? There is no more time for waiting, no more time for hesitation. The moment is now, the voices are ours, and the world is listening. I have seen what happens when people stand together and speak with one voice. I have seen laws rewritten. I have seen doors that were once locked swing open. I have seen those who thought themselves untouchable brought down. Not with fists, not with violence, but with words, with truth, with voices too strong to be ignored. Do not be fooled into thinking that silence keeps you safe. It does not. Silence is the weight that presses down, the burden that grows heavier with time. But when you speak, when you let your truth ring out, when you stand with others and demand the world you deserve, that is when you become unstoppable. That is when walls fall, chains break, barriers crumble. So let us speak, let us be loud, let us fill every room, every street, every space where injustice lingers, with voices that cannot and will not be silenced. Let us remind them that silence is no longer an option, that we will not stand by while the powerful write our future without us. We will not wait for permission to exist freely, to love boldly, to live fully. We will not ask for justice, we will demand it. Silence is a weapon of the oppressor. Our voices must be louder, and louder we shall be. There is a truth that has been buried beneath years of oppression, hidden beneath the weight of history, whispered in corners but never spoken aloud where it can shake the world. That truth is this: dignity is not a privilege. It is not a reward given to the few. It is not something that must be earned or begged for or justified. Dignity belongs to all from the moment they draw breath to the moment they leave this earth. It is not a gift from the powerful, it is a birthright. But there are those who would have us believe otherwise. There are those who have written laws and drawn lines, who have built walls and opened doors only for some while locking them for others. They believe dignity is theirs to grant, theirs to measure, theirs to take away when it suits them. They believe that wealth makes one worthy, that power makes one deserving, that status determines who will stand and who must kneel. But they are wrong. They have always been wrong. I have seen dignity in the hands of the weary, in the hearts of those who have been beaten down but never broken. I have seen it in the eyes of a mother who has nothing but still gives, in the steps of a man who walks tall even when the world tries to make him small. I have seen dignity where the world refuses to look, in the worker whose labor builds nations but whose name is forgotten, and the child who dares to dream despite being told they have no right to. Dignity is not defined by wealth, by race, by gender, by the borders men have drawn in the sand. Dignity is the quiet, unshaken truth that every soul carries within them, whether the world recognizes it or not. But recognition matters. Justice matters. It is not enough to know that we are worthy. We must demand that the world knows it too. Because dignity denied is oppression, and oppression does not disappear by waiting. It does not vanish in silence. It does not crumble under polite requests. No, dignity is claimed, it is stood for, it is fought for, and if it is not given freely, it will be taken. They will tell us to be patient. They will tell us that change takes time, that we must wait our turn, that dignity will come when it is convenient for those in power, but we do not have time to wait. We do not have the luxury of patience when lives are being crushed beneath the weight of injustice. We do not have the privilege of silence when voices are being stolen, when rights are being stripped, when dignity is being trampled under the feet of those who claim to lead but do not serve. I have seen what happens when people rise and say no more. I have seen doors that once seemed locked forever burst open. I have seen those who believed they were untouchable humbled before the force of a people who know their worth. I have seen laws rewritten, systems shattered, history reshaped, not by the powerful but by the people. By those who refuse to be told they are less, by those who refuse to live in a world that measures worth in gold instead of humanity, by those who understand that dignity is not negotiable. So let them build their walls. Let them write their laws. Let them try to divide us with fear and silence. It will not work. Because dignity is not theirs to give. It is already ours. It always has been. And we will not stop until the world sees it, feels it, acknowledges it. Until no child is told they are unworthy. Until no woman is treated as less than. Until no man is forced to shrink beneath the weight of another's greed. Until dignity belongs to all, not in words, not in empty promises, but in action, in justice, in truth. Dignity belongs to all, not just to the few. And we will stand until the world knows it. The road ahead is long. The fight for justice is not a gentle walk, not a soft-spoken plea, not a quiet request for what should have been given freely from the start. It is a march, steady and unshaken. It is a force, relentless and unmoving. And it is not the work of one day or one voice or one generation. It is the work of all of us, together bound by a truth that no barrier can hold back. Progress must never stop. There are those who will tell you that the battle has already been won. They will point to laws passed, to chains broken, to doors opened, and they will say, is that not enough? They will ask why we still march, why we still shout, why we still demand when they believe the work is done. But hear me now, the work is never done. The past may have given us victories, but the present still calls us forward, and forward we must go. I have seen what happens when we grow tired. I have seen movements slow, voices quiet, hands loosen from the grip they once held so tightly. And in that stillness, injustice creeps back in, silent and patient, waiting for the moment we believe we no longer have to fight. But justice is not permanent unless we make it so. Progress is not guaranteed unless we guard it. Freedom is not a gift we receive once and for all. It is a fire that must be kept burning. A torch that must be carried from hand to hand, from heart to heart, across every line they have drawn to keep us apart. They will tell us that we have come far enough. They will ask us to be grateful for what little has been given. But we are not beggars at the table of justice. We are not visitors in the house of freedom. We are the builders, the architects, the rightful owners of a world where dignity belongs to all. And we will not stop at almost. We will not stop at better than before. We will not stop until justice is not a privilege, but a promise fulfilled. Until equality is not an idea, but a reality lived by all. And yes, there will be days when the road seems endless. There will be nights when the weight of it all feels too much to bear. There will be moments when doubt creeps in, whispering that the fight is too great, that the world is too heavy, that change is too slow. But I ask you, when has anything worth having ever come easily? When has justice ever arrived without struggle? When has freedom ever been handed over without a fight? The road is long, yes, but we do not walk it alone. We walk with those who came before us, whose voices still echo in the streets, whose hands still lift us up from the past into the future. We walk with those beside us, whose hearts beat to the same rhythm, whose dreams are tied to ours, whose fight is our fight. And we walk for those who will come after us, for the children yet to be born, for the generations who will live in the world we are building today. So no, we do not stop. We do not rest while injustice still breathes. We do not pause while there are still chains to break, still walls to tear down, still voices waiting to be heard. We do not slow down because they ask us to, because they wish us to, because they fear what happens when we move as one. Progress must never stop, not for their comfort, not for our fatigue, not for anything less than justice in full, justice complete, justice undeniable. And so we march, and so we rise, and so we build the bridges that will carry us forward, knowing that the fight is never over. But neither is our strength. The road we walk is not easy, but it is necessary. The walls built to divide us will not stand. The voices once silenced will not be quiet. The bridges we build will carry generations forward, and the love we hold will be stronger than the hate we face. We do not ask for justice. We claim it. We do not wait for equality. We create it. And we do not fear the struggle. We embrace it, because we know that progress is not given, it is made. So let us rise together, unshaken, unafraid, unstoppable. Let us walk forward, knowing that every step, every word, every act of courage brings us closer to the world we deserve. The barriers will break, the bridges will stand, and justice will not be denied. Good luck on this journey. Keep standing, keep speaking, keep pushing forward, and never, ever be moved. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Here's something I know for sure. Life is a great winding river, twisting and turning, sometimes gentle, sometimes wild, but always moving. You, me, the trees that stand tall, the wind that whispers through them, the stranger across the world whose name we may never know, we are all drops in that same river. Everything is connected. And when you see it, when you feel it deep in your bones, you begin to understand nothing happens in isolation. Look at the sun spilling gold onto the earth each morning, the moon pulling the tides with a silent grace, the way laughter can catch like wildfire in a room full of strangers. Everything touches everything else. One kindness, one word of love, one hand reaching for another can ripple out farther than we will ever see. But here's the thing, so can fear. So can cruelty. So can indifference. The energy we put out into the world does not simply vanish. It lingers, it spreads, it plants itself in the hearts of others and grows into something larger than we ever imagined. There is something undeniable about the way the world moves, the way life unfolds in unseen patterns like waves spreading across a still pond. Your actions, your words, your very presence in this moment, none of it is small. None of it goes unnoticed. What you do, what you say, how you choose to walk through this life creates a ripple, touching shores you may never set foot on. You are never just existing. You are shaping, shifting, and influencing everything around you. Think about it. Have you ever been in the presence of someone whose energy lifted you without them even knowing it? Maybe it was a stranger who held the door open with a smile on a hard day, a friend who spoke encouragement into your tired soul, a teacher who believed in you when you struggled to believe in yourself. And haven't you also felt the weight of a careless word, the sting of indifference, the burden of someone's bitterness weighing down a room? What we do, how we move, it all matters. It matters because we are all connected, woven into the same grand design, breathing the same air, standing under the same sky. You may never see the full reach of your actions, but that does not mean they are without power. A simple act of kindness, one word, one gesture can change the course of a life. A single spark can light up the darkest of nights. When you choose to lift someone, you don't just change their moment, you change the energy they carry into the world. And that energy touches another. And another. And another. That is how change happens, not always in great sweeping motions, but in small, intentional acts that build upon each other, forming something greater than we ever imagined. But understand this, just as kindness ripples outward, so does negativity. A careless insult, a moment of cruelty, a heart hardened by resentment, these things do not stay contained. They spread, they grow, they plant themselves in the hearts of others, and they take root. We've all seen it happen. The way one person's pain can harden another. The way a wound, left untended, can turn into someone else's suffering. And so we must be mindful. We must be careful with the energy we put into this world. Because once it leaves us, it does not simply disappear. You hold more power than you know, more influence than you realize. With every word you speak, every action you take, you are shaping something beyond yourself. Even in your quietest moments, even when you feel unseen, you are setting something into motion. And that is why you must choose every single day to be intentional, to be kind, to be aware of the weight of your presence in the world. It is easy to think that our lives are isolated, that what we do begins and ends with us. But that is not how life works. That is not how the universe moves. We are tied to each other in ways deeper than we can comprehend. When you choose to rise, you lift others with you. When you choose to love, that love expands beyond what you can see. And when you choose to be a light, even in the smallest of ways, the world cannot help but reflect that light back. So let your actions be rooted in goodness. Let your words be filled with intention. Let the energy you give be the kind that makes someone else believe in the beauty of this world. Because no action is ever just yours. It is part of something greater, something vast and far-reaching. And one day, when you least expect it, the kindness you gave, the love you poured into the world will find its way back to you. There is a magic in kindness, a force so quiet yet so powerful that it can move mountains within the human heart. It is not loud, not boastful, not seeking anything in return. And yet it carries the weight of the world, changing lives in ways we may never fully understand. One act of kindness, one moment of genuine care can take root in the soul of another and grow into something far greater than we ever intended. Kindness does not end where we place it, it multiplies, it spreads, it reaches places we may never go. Think of a time when someone showed you kindness at the exact moment you needed it. Maybe it was a friend who stayed up just to listen when the world felt too heavy. Maybe it was a stranger who paid for your coffee when you were down to your last dollar. Maybe it was a teacher, a mentor, a parent who spoke life into you when you felt like you had nothing left to give. That moment, that act did not simply stay with you. It became part of you, shaped how you saw the world, how you moved through it, how you treated others in return. And just like that, kindness ripples outward, carried from one heart to another, passed down in ways we don't always see. A child who grows up with love and kindness does not simply keep it to themselves, they take it into their friendships, their relationships, their communities. A person who has shown grace on their worst day remembers that feeling and one day offers that same grace to another. What we pour into the world does not vanish, it takes root. It flourishes. It finds its way back into places we never expected. It does not take wealth or power to be kind. It does not require fame or status. It only takes a decision to show up with love, to choose understanding over judgment, to offer a hand when someone else is falling. And the beauty of it is that you never know how far your kindness will go. A word of encouragement may stay in someone's heart for a lifetime. A small act of generosity may inspire another to do the same. But just as kindness grows, so does its absence. We live in a world that can feel harsh, where people guard their hearts out of fear, where love is sometimes seen as weakness. But the truth is, there is nothing stronger than a heart that chooses kindness in the face of cruelty, love in the face of indifference. Every day we have a choice to add to the goodness of the world or to take away from it, to build or to tear down, to open our hearts or to close them. And that choice, whether we realize it or not, will ripple outward. Imagine a world where kindness was given as freely as the air we breathe, where love was the language we all spoke. It starts with you. It starts with the way you treat the people around you, the way you choose to carry yourself, the way you respond to those who may not always deserve it. Because kindness is not about what we get in return. It is about what we leave behind, what we pass forward, what we send into the lives of others, knowing that somehow it will come back full circle. So be the reason someone believes in goodness. Be the reason someone smiles when they have forgotten how. Be the one who chooses love, even when it is not easy, even when the world gives you every reason to close your heart. Because kindness multiplies. It always does. And long after you are gone, long after your words have faded, the love you gave will still be growing, still be growing, still be changing the world. There is something undeniable about the energy we carry. It speaks before we do. It lingers long after we have left a room. It moves through conversations, through gestures, through the smallest interactions that may seem like nothing in the moment. But nothing is ever nothing. Everything we put into the world, every emotion, every word, every action has weight, has movement, has consequence. Have you ever walked into a room and felt a heaviness in the air, though no words had been spoken? Have you ever sat beside someone whose joy was so radiant that you couldn't help but feel lighter yourself? That is energy. It is not bound by language or distance. It moves like ripples on water, touching everything it meets, shaping the space it enters. And whether we realize it or not, we are always contributing to it. When you wake up in the morning, the energy you choose to carry does not stay with you alone. It spreads to the people you pass on the street, to the ones who sit beside you at work, to the stranger who catches your glance at the coffee shop. A simple smile can shift the course of someone's day. A moment of impatience can do the same. We pass our energy like torches in the dark, lighting the way or casting shadows. And every single person we meet will either feel warmth from us or coldness. And the thing about energy is that it does not disappear. It moves forward, attaching itself to the next person and the next and the next. One moment of kindness can set off a chain reaction, just as one moment of cruelty can do the same. The words you speak to someone in their moment of doubt may be the words they carry forward into the lives of others. The way you treat someone in their moment of struggle may be the way they learn to treat themselves. And just as laughter can catch like wildfire in a room, so can pain, so can bitterness, so can anger. That is why we must be mindful of what we bring into the world. We must understand that our emotions, our attitudes, our presence itself carries a kind of responsibility. When we choose to meet others with warmth, we give them something to carry forward. When we choose to hold on to resentment, to let our frustrations spill onto others, we send that out into the world too. And the world does not need more weight, more sorrow, more closed doors. It needs light. It needs people who are willing to be the reason someone else finds hope. But let's be honest, there will be days when carrying good energy feels impossible. There will be moments when you are tired, when the world feels unkind, when all you want to do is retreat, to shield yourself from everything outside of you. And in those moments, remember this, the energy you receive is often a reflection of the energy you give. What you send out, you will find returning to you. What you pour into others, life will pour back into you. If you want joy, give joy. If you want kindness, be kind. If you want love, offer it freely. This is not about pretending to be happy when you are not, nor is it about ignoring your own pain. It is about knowing that the way you move through the world has the power to change it. It is about choosing, even in the smallest ways, to bring something good into the spaces you enter. And when you do, the world cannot help but respond. The kindness you give, the love you share, the warmth you offer, it will not be lost. It will move. It will grow. It will return to you in ways you never expected, at moments you never saw coming, because energy is contagious. And the most powerful thing you can do is choose to spread the kind that makes this world a little softer, a little brighter, a little more full of love. No one rises alone. No one moves forward without the hands of others lifting them, guiding them, making a way where there was none before. Every success, every triumph, every step forward is not just the work of one person, it is the result of many. We are not meant to walk this life in isolation. We are built for connection, for community, for leaning on one another when the weight becomes too heavy to bear alone. Think of the moments that shaped you, the victories you claimed. Were you truly alone in them? Or was there someone, a friend, a mentor, a stranger who offered of encouragement, an helping hand, a door held open just long enough for you to step through? Maybe it was a teacher who saw your potential before you did. Maybe it was a loved one who believed in you when you were full of doubt. Maybe it was someone whose kindness you barely noticed at the time, but looking back, you realize it made all the difference. We do not rise alone. And just as others have lifted us, so must we lift others. Because when you climb, when you reach new heights, you create space for others to do the same. The knowledge you gain, the strength you build, the success you achieve, it is not meant to be hoarded. It is meant to be shared. It is meant to be used to open doors for those who come after you, just as someone once did for you. But just as no one rises alone, no one falls alone either. When one person struggles, that weight is not theirs to carry alone. Pain, like joy, moves outward. It touches those around us. It shifts the energy in a room. It changes the way we see ourselves in the world. And so when you see someone struggling, when you witness someone falling under the weight of life, do not turn away. Do not think for a moment that their burden is theirs alone to carry. Because one day it may be you who needs lifting. One day it may be you who stumbles, who reaches for a hand, who prays for kindness in a moment of weakness. Lifting others does not require great wealth or power. It does not demand grand gestures or recognition. It can be as simple as offering encouragement when someone is full of doubt, as small as sharing what you know so someone else can grow, as easy as standing beside someone when the world tries to push them down. The truth is, when you lift someone else, you lift yourself too. There's no greater purpose than helping another rise. No greater gift than knowing you have made someone else's journey a little lighter. And the beauty of it all is that the kindness you give, the support you offer, the love you pour into others, it will find its way back to you. Maybe not today, maybe not in ways you expect, but life has a way of returning what we put into it. So remember this: when you rise, extend your hand. When you stand strong, make room for someone beside you. When you succeed, use your success to bring others forward. Because no one rises alone, and no one should ever have to. There's a reason we go through struggles. A reason for the long nights, the uphill climbs, the moments that bring us to our knees. Life does not hand us challenges to break us, but to reveal us, to show us who we are when the ground shakes beneath our feet. Every hardship carries a lesson. Every storm leaves something behind that we need. Nothing is wasted, not even the pain. Think back to a time when you thought you wouldn't make it through. A time when the weight of life was too heavy, when the road ahead seemed too long. And yet here you are, still standing, still breathing, still moving forward. What you once thought would destroy you became a lesson, a turning point, a piece of your strength. That was not by accident. That was life shaping you, molding you into someone stronger and wiser, more capable than before. It is easy to see struggle as something unfair, something cruel, something to run from. But struggle is the fire that forges us. It is the test that shows us what we are made of. Without it, we remain the same, untouched by growth, unshaken by experience. And that is not why we are here. We are here to learn, to evolve, to rise from the hardships with a new understanding of ourselves and the world around us. But struggle is not just about personal growth. It connects us. It binds us to each other in ways that ease and comfort never could. When you have suffered, when you have known what it is to hurt, you recognize that pain in others. You move with more compassion, with more patience, with a heart that understands. The people who have been through the deepest valleys are often the ones who lift others the highest, because they know. They have felt it, and they have learned that just as struggle shapes us, it also reminds us that we are not meant to walk through it alone. There will be days when the lessons do not feel like lessons, when the hardship feels senseless, when the weight of it all seems too much to carry. In those moments, remember this: there is purpose in this pain. You may not see it now. You may not understand why life is pressing against you so hard, but one day you will look back and see that this moment was necessary, that this moment prepared you for something greater, that this moment made you into someone you could not have become otherwise. So when the struggles come, do not fear them. Do not run from them. Face them. Learn from them. Trust that they are shaping you in ways you cannot yet see. And when you come out on the other side, as you always do, carry that wisdom forward. Use it to lift someone else. Use it to remind another that their struggle too has a purpose. Because in the end, nothing we go through is ever in vain. It is all connected. It is all leading us somewhere we are meant to be. You are never unseen. Even in your quietest moments, even when the world seems to pass you by without a glance, you are noticed. You are part of something far greater than you can imagine. It is easy to believe that what we do, what we say, what we feel exists in isolation, that the joys and sorrows we carry are ours alone. But nothing exists in isolation. Every thought, every action, every breath you take is connected to something beyond yourself. Think of a time when you felt invisible, as if no one truly saw you, as if your presence or absence made no real difference. And yet you were seen, you were felt. Someone noticed the way you carried yourself, the way you spoke, the way your energy filled the space around you. You may never know the impact you had in that moment, but it was there. It always is. We live in a world that often makes us feel small, a world that moves fast, that praises the loudest voices, that glorifies attention and visibility. And in the rush of it all, it is easy to wonder if we matter, if our presence makes a difference, if the love we give, the kindness we offer, the struggles we endure are even acknowledged. But the truth is, you are never without significance. The energy you bring into a room changes the space. The way you treat others leaves an imprint. The way you navigate your own journey inspires people you may never even meet. There are people who think of you, who remember your words long after you have forgotten them. There are moments when your kindness shifted something inside someone else, when your laughter lifted a heavy spirit, when your presence alone was enough to make someone feel less alone. And the beautiful part is, you don't have to see it for it to be real. You don't have to be told. The impact of your existence stretches beyond what is visible to you, touching lives in ways you may never fully understand. But just as you are seen, so are others. Just as your quiet struggles matter, so do the silent battles of those around you. And this is why we must move through the world with awareness, with a heart open enough to recognize that just as we long to be seen, others do too. A simple acknowledgement, a gentle word, a moment of true presence with another human being, these things matter more than we realize. The world is not blind to you. Life is not ignoring you. You are not just passing through unnoticed. Every step you take, every emotion you feel, every choice you make sends out ripples. Even in your loneliest moments, you are part of something greater. You belong. You are necessary. You are seen. And that truth will never change. Love is the force that ties everything together. It is the beginning and the end, the current that moves through us, the silent language that connects us in ways words never could. It is not bound by distance, not diminished by time. It does not weaken when shared, it grows. Love is the one thing in this world that, when given away freely, multiplies instead of fading. It is the thread woven through every moment of kindness, every act of courage, every connection we make. Love is not just found in grand gestures. It is in the quiet moments, the unseen sacrifices, the willingness to choose another's happiness alongside our own. It is in the way a mother wakes up in the middle of the night to comfort her child, in the way a friend listens without judgment, in the way a stranger holds the door open for someone who is struggling. Love is not always loud, but it is always present, shaping the world in ways we don't always recognize. And love is not just something we give, it is something we must allow ourselves to receive. There is no strength in pushing love away, believing we must carry everything alone. We are not meant to be untouched by love. We are meant to be shaped by it, strengthened by it, softened by it. Love is what reminds us that we do not walk this life alone, that even in our hardest moments, we are held by the people who care for us, by the energy we have poured into the world, returning to us in unexpected ways. But love is a choice. It is a decision we make every single day to move with love, to lead with love, to choose love, even when it feels difficult. The world will give us reasons to be guarded, to be distant, to believe that love is something fragile, something that must be protected at all costs. But love is not weak. It is the strongest force there is. It has the power to heal wounds, to mend what is broken, to reach places that nothing else can touch. And when we love fully, openly, without reservation, we set something powerful in motion. Because love is not meant to stay in one place. It moves. It carries forward. It reaches beyond us. The love you give today will live beyond you, passed down through moments, through generations, through connections you may never see. It will echo in the lives of those you touch, shaping the world in ways you never expected. So love, even when the world makes it hard. Love, even when it asks something of you. Love, not because it is easy, but because it is necessary. Because in the end, love is the one thing that remains, the one thing that carries us forward, the one thing that reminds us always that we are connected. And so we arrive at the truth that has been woven through every word, every thought, every lesson. Everything is connected. The energy we carry, the hands we hold, the struggles we endure, the love we give, none of it exists in isolation. What we send into the world finds its way back to us. The kindness we offer ripples far beyond what we can see. The hardships we overcome shape not only our own strength, but the strength of those who come after us. You are never alone in this journey. Every step you take is intertwined with those who have walked before you and those who will follow in your footsteps. Your presence matters. Your struggles have purpose. Your love has power. And the way you move through the world has the ability to shape it for the better. So as you step forward from this moment, may you carry with you the understanding that nothing is ever wasted, that the smallest actions can create the greatest waves, that love is always the answer, no matter the question. Walk boldly. Lift others as you climb. Lead with love. And trust that every piece of this life, every joy, every sorrow, every connection is bringing you exactly where you are meant to be. Good luck on your journey. And thank you for allowing me to share these words with you. May you go forward with light, with purpose, and with the unwavering belief that you are part of something far greater than yourself. Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a time in each of our lives when we must stand firm, look ourselves in the mirror and say, I am enough. Not because the world has told us so, but because deep within us we know it to be true. Life will challenge you. It will throw obstacles in your path, whisper doubts into your ears, and make you question your worth. But let me tell you this, you were never created to shrink. You were made to rise. Confidence is not about having all the answers. It is about stepping forward, even when the road is uncertain. It is about knowing that your voice has weight, that your dreams are valid, and that no one, not a single soul, can take away the power that is already inside you. Some may try to tell you that you are too much, too loud, too bold. Let them talk. You do not need permission to take up space. Walk with grace, speak with strength, and hold your head high, for you are worthy of every success, every joy, and every triumph that comes your way. And when you rise, because you will rise, do not forget to reach back and lift someone else. True confidence is not just about standing tall. It is about helping others find their strength too. So today I leave you with this: believe in yourself so fiercely that even your shadow stands taller. Know your worth, embrace your power, and walk boldly into the world. Because you are enough. Belief in oneself is the foundation upon which every great achievement is built. It is the quiet, unwavering voice within that says, I can, even when the world tries to convince you otherwise. It is the light that refuses to dim, the strength that carries you forward when doubt and fear try to hold you back. From the moment we enter this world, we are conditioned to seek approval from family, from teachers, from society. We are taught to measure ourselves against standards that were never designed for us. And too often, we allow the doubts of others to become the limits we place upon ourselves. But the truth is, no one has the power to define you except you. Your worth is not determined by opinions, circumstances, or setbacks. It is determined by the belief you hold in yourself. Self-belief does not mean that you will never struggle. It does not mean that fear will not creep in or that failure will never visit. But it does mean that when you fall, you will rise. When doors close, you will find another way. And when the world tells you that you are not enough, you will look within and say, I am more than enough. History is filled with people who were told they would never succeed, yet they defied the odds not because they had special privileges, but because they had an unshakable belief in themselves. Every great artist, every visionary, every leader who has left a mark on this world first had to believe in their own power. The journey of self-belief is not always easy. There will be moments when you question your path, when fear whispers, what if you fail? But I ask you, what if you succeed? What if everything you dream of is just on the other side of fear? What if the only thing standing between you and your greatest potential is your willingness to believe? You must be your own biggest champion. Speak to yourself with kindness. Nurture your dreams as you would a delicate seed, watering them with faith and determination. Surround yourself with people who uplift you, but more importantly, be the person who uplifts yourself. Because at the end of the day, the most powerful force in your life is not the world around you. It is the belief within you. So stand tall, walk boldly, and never let anyone, not even yourself, convince you that you are anything less than extraordinary. Because you are powerful, you are capable, you are enough. Fear and doubt are among the greatest thieves of dreams. They creep into our minds, whispering uncertainties, making us question our abilities, our worth, and our purpose. They tell us we are not ready, that we are not good enough, that we should wait for the right moment, the right skills, the right validation. But let me tell you this, there is no perfect moment. There is only now. Fear, in its essence, is not the enemy. It is a natural response to the unknown, a protective instinct designed to keep us safe. But too often, fear does not just protect us, it paralyzes us. It keeps us trapped in comfort zones that offer no growth. It convinces us that failure is a fate worse than never trying. And doubt feeds that fear, making us hesitate, second guess, and sometimes even abandon the very dreams that set our souls on fire. But here is the truth: fear is a liar. Doubt is a deceiver. They make problems seem bigger than they are. They make risks seem impossible to take. They make us forget that every person who has ever accomplished anything great first had to take a leap of faith. Think about the people who inspire you. The leaders, the artists, the innovators, the trailblazers. Do you think they never felt fear? Of course they did. But the difference between those who succeed and those who remain stuck is not the absence of fear. It is the willingness to move forward despite it. You must train your mind to push through fear. When doubt tells you you can't do this, respond with, "Watch me." When fear says, "What if you fail?" answer back, "What if I succeed?" When hesitation creeps in, reminding you of past mistakes, remind yourself that failure is not the opposite of success. It is part of the journey to success. The key to overcoming fear and doubt is action. Action silences fear. The moment you take that first step, no matter how small, you weaken fear's grip on you. Every time you push through self-doubt, you build confidence. Every time you refuse to let fear stop you, you grow stronger. And here's another truth: you have already overcome so much. Think back to moments in your life when you thought you couldn't make it through, but you did. Think of the challenges you've faced, the heartbreaks you've survived, the obstacles you've conquered. You are still here. You are still standing. That is proof that you are stronger than fear, greater than doubt, and capable of far more than you believe. So, the next time fear whispers you can't, stand firm and say, "I will." The next time doubt tells you to play small, rise tall and say, "I am meant for more." Because you are. And once you decide to no longer let fear and doubt control you, there is nothing you cannot achieve. Your voice is one of the most powerful tools you possess. It is not just the words you speak, it is the energy behind them, the conviction that fuels them, the truth they carry. Yet, too often we are taught to silence ourselves, to shrink our thoughts, to make our voices smaller so that others feel more comfortable. But I say to you today, your voice matters. Your words have power, and the world needs to hear them. Throughout history, the most profound changes have come from those who dared to use their voices. Voices that challenged injustice, voices that spoke truth in times of silence, voices that carried wisdom across generations. These voices were not always the loudest, but they were strong because they were courageous, unapologetic, and authentic. But somewhere along the way, many of us begin to doubt the importance of our own voices. We think, what do I have to say that hasn't already been said? Or what if no one listens? And so we stay quiet. We hold our opinions inside. We hesitate to stand up for what we believe in. Let me tell you something: silence does not serve you. It does not serve your dreams, your purpose, or your destiny. Your thoughts, your perspective, your truth, they are uniquely yours, and they deserve to be heard. Your voice has the power to inspire. Think of a time when someone's words lifted you, changed your perspective, or gave you the strength to keep going. Maybe it was a teacher, a mentor, a friend, or even a stranger. Their words had power because they spoke them with belief and authenticity. And just as their voice impacted you, your voice can impact someone else. Your voice has the power to heal. The words you speak to yourself and to others can be a source of encouragement, love, and hope. When you speak kindly to yourself, you affirm your worth. When you speak kindness to others, you remind them of theirs. Your voice can be the bridge between pain and healing, between despair and hope. Your voice has the power to create change, whether in your home, your community, or the world. What you say and stand for matters. It is easy to think that one person cannot make a difference, but every movement, every revolution, every shift in history began with one voice. So if you have something to say, say it. If you have an idea, share it. If you have a truth that burns inside you, let it be known. Speak with courage, even if your voice shakes. Speak with passion, even if your words come out imperfectly. Speak with confidence, because your voice, your presence, your truth, your chartreuse. Pain is one of life's greatest teachers. It arrives uninvited, often knocking us down when we least expect it. It comes in many forms: loss, betrayal, failure, disappointment. Sometimes it lingers in the quiet corners of our minds, whispering that we are broken, that we are weak, that we will never recover. But I stand before you today to tell you this: your pain does not define you. What you do with it does. Pain, as difficult as it is, holds a power that most people fail to see. It has the ability to transform, to strengthen, to build resilience. The most powerful people in history did not rise because they were spared from suffering. They rose because they turned their pain into power. Think about the struggles you have faced in your life, the moments when you thought you wouldn't make it through, the nights when tears became your only language, the days when you carried the weight of the world on your shoulders. And yet you are still here. You survived. And survival itself is proof that you are stronger than you ever imagined. But survival is not the end of your story. You were not meant to just endure pain, you were meant to transform it. You were meant to take your struggles and turn them into stepping stones, to take your hardships and shape them into wisdom, to take the hurt you have known and use it to heal others. Some of the most incredible artists, leaders, and visionaries of the world created beauty from their pain. They took heartbreak and turned it into poetry. They took rejection and turned it into resilience. They took oppression and turned it into revolution. They refused to let pain break them. Instead, they let it build them. And you can do the same. Pain is fuel if you allow it to be. It can push you to work harder, to dream bigger, to love deeper. It can teach you lessons that no success ever could. It can shape you into someone who understands, who empathizes, who rises not just for themselves, but for others. But first you must make a choice. You must decide that your pain will not be a prison, it will be a platform. That your struggles will not silence you, they will give you a voice. That your past will not hold you back, it will push you forward. So when life knocks you down, do not stay there, rise. When the world tells you that your pain is a weakness, remind them that it is your greatest strength. Because there is power in every scar, wisdom in every wound, and purpose in every struggle. There is something powerful about a person who walks with purpose. You can see it in the way they move, the way they speak, the way they carry themselves. They do not stumble through life aimlessly. They do not let the wind of uncertainty toss them in every direction. Instead, they walk with intention, with clarity, with the unshakable knowledge that they are here for a reason. And so are you. But what does it mean to walk with purpose? It means understanding that your life is not random, that you were not placed on this earth just to exist, but to make an impact. It means knowing that every step you take, every decision you make, every action you pursue should bring you closer to something meaningful. Purpose is not just about what you do, it is about why you do it. Too often, people drift through life without direction, waiting for purpose to magically reveal itself. They think, one day I'll figure out what I'm meant to do. But purpose does not come to those who wait, it comes to those who seek. If you want to walk with purpose, you must choose it. You must decide that your time, your energy, your presence in this world will not be wasted. Purpose is not always loud and obvious. It does not always arrive in grand revelations. Sometimes it is found in the smallest things, in the way you treat people, in the passions that set your soul on fire, in the quiet callings that won't let you go. Your purpose may be to create, to heal, to teach, to lead, to uplift. It may be to change the world or to simply change one life. And that too is enough. The impact you make does not have to be measured in fame or fortune. Purpose is not about being seen, it is about making a difference. If you are unsure of your purpose, do not wait for life to hand it to you. Start moving. Take a step towards something that excites you, something that challenges you, something that makes you feel alive. Purpose is not found in hesitation, it is found in action. When you walk with purpose, you naturally walk with confidence. You hold your head high, not because life is easy, but because you know where you are going. Even when the path is unclear, even when obstacles arise, you do not waver, because you are not just walking, you are moving forward with intention. Confidence does not mean you will never experience doubt. It does not mean you will never question yourself. But when you walk with purpose, you push past the doubt, past the fear, past the distractions. You remind yourself, I am here for a reason. I have something to offer this world. I will not let fear keep me from fulfilling my purpose. Walking with purpose means walking even when the road is difficult. It means persistence. There will be moments when you want to stop, when setbacks try to convince you that your dreams are too big, that your goals are too far away. But purpose is not about perfection, it is about perseverance. The most successful people in the world are not the ones who had everything handed to them. They are the ones who kept going when others quit. They are the ones who walked through storms, climbed mountains, and refused to turn back when the journey got tough. Because they knew their purpose was worth the struggle. A person who truly walks with purpose does not walk alone. They reach out, they lift others, they create space for those who are still finding their way. Because purpose is not just about personal success, it is about impact. It is about leaving something behind that is greater than yourself. So as you walk, do not just think about where you are going. Think about who you can help along the way. Think about the people who may need your encouragement, your guidance, your wisdom. Because walking with purpose is not just about getting ahead, it is about bringing others forward with you. No matter where you are in life, no matter how lost you may feel, know this, your purpose is already inside you. It is waiting for you to claim it, to own it, to walk boldly in it. Do not waste time doubting yourself. Do not let fear keep you stagnant. Get up, stand tall, and start walking. Because when you walk with purpose, there is nothing that can stop you. Success is not meant to be a solitary journey. No matter how high you climb, how much you achieve, or how far you go, true greatness is not measured by what you accomplish alone. It is measured by how many people you lift along the way. There is a common misconception that success is a race, that in order to win, you must outrun or outshine everyone else. But the truth is, the most fulfilling success is not about standing at the top alone. It is about reaching back, extending a hand, and bringing others up with you. Think about the people who have helped shape you into who you are today. Maybe it was a teacher who encouraged you when no one else did. Maybe it was a mentor who saw potential in you before you saw it in yourself. Maybe it was a friend, a parent, a stranger, someone who, in a moment of doubt, reminded you of your worth. Their belief in you mattered. Their kindness mattered. Their willingness to share what they knew, to guide you, to uplift you, that mattered. And now, as you rise, you have the same opportunity to do that for someone else. No one achieves greatness alone. Behind every success story is a network of people who contributed in some way. The strongest communities, the most resilient societies are built on the foundation of lifting each other up, not tearing each other down. When you extend a hand to someone else, you are not just helping them, you are strengthening the entire foundation. You are creating a ripple effect that goes beyond what you can see. Because when one person rises and they help another, and that person helps another, an entire generation is empowered. One of the most damaging mindsets in the world is the belief that success is limited, that in order for one person to win, someone else must lose. This scarcity mindset breeds competition instead of collaboration, envy instead of encouragement. But here's the truth: there is enough room for all of us to rise. You do not lose anything by helping someone else succeed. In fact, you gain something far greater: respect, loyalty, gratitude, and the satisfaction of knowing that you did not just climb a ladder, but you built a bridge. One day when people speak about you, what do you want them to say? That you were successful? That you achieved great things? Or that because of you, others were able to achieve great things too? The true measure of your success is not in how high you go, but in how many lives you touch along the way. The legacy you leave behind will not just be in what you accomplish, it will be in the people you empowered, the opportunities you created, and the difference you made in someone else's life. So as you rise, remember this: lift others, share what you know, encourage, support, and guide. Because success is not just about reaching the top, it's about bringing others with you. And when we lift each other, we all rise higher. Each of us is born with limitless potential, yet too often we allow fear, doubt, and hesitation to hold us back. But today I challenge you to rise above those limitations. Believe in yourself. Walk with purpose. Use your voice, transform your pain into power. And as you rise, lift others along the way. Self-belief is not about arrogance. It is about recognizing the greatness within you and refusing to let the world diminish it. Confidence is not about being fearless. It is about choosing to move forward despite the fear. Walking with purpose does not mean knowing every step of the journey. It means trusting that every step you take is leading you somewhere meaningful. And most importantly, remember that success is not just about how far you go. It's about how many lives you touch along the way. The true measure of a life well lived is not found in titles, wealth, or recognition, but in the impact you leave behind. So step boldly into the world. Speak with conviction. Stand tall in your truth. Know that you are more capable than you ever imagined, and that within you lies the power to inspire, to create, and to change the world. The journey ahead will not always be easy, but you were not made to shrink. You were made to shine. Walk forward with confidence, embrace your power, and never forget you are unstoppable. Good morning, everyone. There is a strength that does not shout yet. It carries the power to steady a trembling heart. It is not in the noise of anger or in the storms of tears that we find our greatest courage. It is in the quiet place inside where we choose to breathe when life asks us to break. My friends, control of emotion is not the burial of feeling. It is not pretending to be made of stone. It is not pushing down your sorrow or locking away your joy. True control is the hand that gently lifts your spirit and says, "I will not let you be consumed." You see, emotion is part of the great gift of being alive. Love burns in it. Compassion flows through it. Hope is born in it. To deny it is to deny our very humanity. But to master it, that is where greatness is born. A person who controls emotion is not less alive, but more alive. For they have learned the dance of balance. They have discovered that a heart can feel deeply without falling apart. Suppression breeds silence that hurts. Suppression builds walls that keep the world out and keep the soul locked in. It is the mask that smiles when the inside is crying. But control, oh control, is something different. It is the calm that speaks when fury wants to scream. It is the choice to forgive when revenge whispers in your ear. It is the gentle hand that holds back the sharp word and turns it into wisdom. Think of the river. The water is wild, it longs to move. If you block it, it floods and destroys. If you guide it, it flows with power, it nourishes the land, it gives life. That is the nature of emotion. Guided, it is creation. Suppressed, it is destruction. And so strength is not in chaining your heart, but in teaching it to move with purpose. Every soul here has felt the fire of anger, the weight of grief, the rush of joy. These are not enemies, they are teachers. They arrive to remind us that we are breathing, that we are here, that we are capable of feeling what the world has to offer. But the lesson is not to let them rule us. The lesson is to welcome them, listen to them, and then guide them where they can serve us best. Emotion control is the art of guiding your feelings without denying their truth. It is a gentle but firm reminder that our emotions are not enemies we must fight, nor are they rulers we must blindly obey. They are companions on our journey, meant to teach us, to signal what is happening within us, and to remind us that we are human. Yet, to live fully and wisely, we cannot hand them the steering wheel. Instead, we must learn the delicate balance of honoring them while guiding them toward a path that serves us and not destroys us. When you feel anger rising in your chest, it is not wrong to acknowledge it. That heat is telling you something. It is telling you that your boundaries have been crossed or that you have been hurt. If you bury it and pretend it does not exist, it will grow in silence, turning into bitterness, resentment, or even self-destruction. But when you guide it, when you pause, breathe, and decide how to use that energy, it becomes strength. It becomes courage to speak up without cruelty, power to set boundaries without violence, and clarity to demand respect without losing your dignity. That is not suppression, that is control, and that is true strength. When sadness finds you, it comes like a heavy cloud pressing on your chest, dimming the light around you. Many try to hide it, masking their eyes with a forced smile, telling themselves to be strong by pretending nothing hurts. Yet suppression only makes sorrow sink deeper, like a stone thrown into still water. Control is different. Control is when you allow yourself to feel the sadness, to acknowledge its weight, but you do not let it consume your will to rise. You cry if you must, you rest if you need, but then you remind yourself that the storm is passing, and you guide your steps back toward the sun. This is not weakness, this is mastery. Even joy, if uncontrolled, can lead to carelessness. When excitement blinds you, you may rush into decisions without thought, spending energy, time, or trust where it is not deserved. But when you guide your joy, when you hold it with both gratitude and mindfulness, it becomes a fountain of inspiration. It fuels your dreams, it strengthens your relationships, it reminds you of the beauty of life without pushing you into recklessness. Control allows joy to nourish you instead of scatter you. The secret is not to silence what you feel, but to lead it as one leads a wild horse. Left untamed, it runs into chaos. Locked away, it withers in misery. Guided with care, it carries you farther than you imagined. Emotion control is this guidance, the art of holding the reins firmly without choking the life out of the spirit. Suppression is fear, control is wisdom. Suppression says, I am ashamed of what I feel. Control says, I will honor what I feel, but I will decide what to do with it. Every moment life tests us, emotion steps forward. Someone insults you and anger knocks at your door. Someone disappoints you and sadness tries to sit in your chair. Someone betrays you and bitterness reaches for your heart. The weak believe the answer is to shut the door on them, to pretend they are not there, but they will still linger, pounding louder and louder until they break through. The strong welcome them, look them in the eye and say, I see you, I hear you, but you will not rule me. That is the kind of strength that cannot be stolen. In truth, emotion control is the practice of self-respect. You respect yourself enough not to be carried away by impulses. You respect your mind enough not to let it be poisoned by unspoken sorrow. You respect your heart enough to let it feel, but not to let it destroy you. This balance is rare and it is powerful. The world admires those who remain calm in chaos, those who choose words of kindness when anger would be easier, those who forgive not because they are weak, but because they are free. Guiding your emotions is a lifelong art. one that requires patience, self-awareness, and practice. But once learned, it becomes a shield and a torch. A shield that protects your peace from being shattered by every offense, and a torch that lights the way when the darkness of feeling threatens to blind you. Emotion control is not about pretending you do not feel. It is about proving that while you feel deeply, you remain steady, unbroken, and full of grace. Suppression hides pain. Control transforms it into power. This simple truth carries a weight that touches every soul. For every one of us has known what it feels like to carry emotions we would rather not face. There are moments when sadness wraps itself around us, when anger burns hotter than we can handle, when disappointment lingers like a shadow we cannot shake. In those moments, many choose to push their feelings deep inside, believing that silence is strength, believing that ignoring pain will make it disappear. But suppressed emotion does not vanish, it grows. It hides in the quiet corners of the heart, waiting, swelling, ready to break forth in ways that harm rather than heal. When you bury your emotions, you are not protecting yourself, you are delaying the explosion. The pain does not lose its voice, it only waits for a louder stage. Suppression often becomes bitterness that seeps into relationships, or stress that breaks the body, or fear that chains the mind. It is like covering a wound without cleaning it. It may look fine for a while, but beneath the surface, infection is spreading. That is the danger of suppression. It pretends to protect, but it destroys from within. Control, however, is the alchemy of the soul. It is the ability to take that same pain and turn it into wisdom, strength, and growth. When anger rises, control does not bury it. Control asks, why am I angry and what can I learn from this? That energy, instead of being forced down, is directed toward building something stronger. It might become the courage to stand up for yourself, the determination to change your life, or the strength to fight for justice without letting hatred consume you. Anger suppressed is poison, but anger controlled is power. Sadness, too, can be transformed. Suppression forces a smile on a broken face, pretending all is well, while inside the heart quietly fractures. Yet when you control sadness, you allow yourself to acknowledge the hurt. You let the tears fall if they must, but you also remind yourself that sorrow is a teacher. It deepens compassion, it makes joy more precious, and it builds resilience. To control sadness is to say, I will not deny my grief, but I will not let it chain me either. In this way, pain becomes the ground from which strength grows. Even fear, when suppressed, becomes a silent master. It keeps you from trying, from speaking, from dreaming. It whispers in the dark and holds your life hostage. But when you control fear, you do not pretend it is gone. You face it, you guide it, and you use it. Controlled fear sharpens awareness, strengthens preparation, and reminds you of what matters most. Suppressed fear keeps you still. Controlled fear moves you forward. Transformation is the gift of control. Suppression takes energy and locks it away in the dark, wasting it. Control takes energy and channels it into light, turning it into something useful. It is the same force, but one leads to destruction while the other leads to creation. Imagine a seed pressed deep into the earth. If it is neglected and left without care, it rots in the soil unseen, unheard. But if guided, watered, and given light, it grows into a tree. That is what control does. It takes the hidden weight of emotion and shapes it into strength that stands tall. True strength is never about pretending you are untouched by pain. It is about facing pain honestly and guiding it into a higher purpose. When life wounds you, you have a choice: bury the wound and let it fester, or open it, tend to it, and let the healing make you stronger than before. Suppression is avoidance, but control is courage. Suppression silences your truth, but control honors it and refines it. Every person you admire for their resilience has faced this choice. They did not rise because they felt nothing. They rose because they felt deeply, but they refused to let those feelings enslave them. They learned to transform anger into vision, grief into gratitude, fear into courage. That is the strength of control, the strength that makes one unshaken in storms and unbroken in trials. Suppression hides pain. Control transforms it into power. And in that power, we find the kind of strength that carries us through every season of life. Strength is not in silencing emotions, but in directing them with wisdom. Too often the world tells us that to be strong, we must not cry, we must not show anger, we must not reveal disappointment. We are taught to believe that silence is bravery, that hiding our emotions is maturity, and that locking them away is discipline. But this is not strength, it is a mask. True strength does not come from burying what we feel. It comes from facing those emotions, listening to their message, and guiding them toward a purpose that uplifts instead of destroys. A heart that silences itself may look calm on the surface, but deep inside it trembles with storms unspoken. That silence is not peace, it is pressure waiting to break. The person who never allows themselves to feel is not free, they are imprisoned by their own restraint. But the one who chooses to direct emotions, who stands in the middle of the fire and still knows how to guide the flame, is the one who holds real power. It is not the absence of emotion that proves strength, but the ability to lead emotion toward growth and goodness. Imagine anger rising in you. If you silence it completely, you lose your voice. You let the world trample your boundaries while you sit in quiet pain. If you let it roll without control, it burns everything in its path, destroying relationships and poisoning peace. But if you direct it, if you say, I will not be ruled by anger, I will use it as a sign of where change is needed, then anger becomes energy. It becomes a fire that fuels justice, determination, and courage. That is the strength of direction, not silence. Consider sorrow. To silence sorrow is to harden your heart, to pretend nothing touches you, to close yourself off from love, because you fear the pain it brings. But sorrow left uncontrolled can pull you down into despair, making you a prisoner of grief. The wise choose a different path. They direct sorrow into compassion, into deeper understanding, into a strength that comforts others because they themselves have known pain. They transform tears into wisdom, and their sadness becomes a bridge that connects hearts. This is not weakness, it is one of the greatest strengths a human soul can carry. Even joy needs direction. To silence joy is to rob yourself of light, to live a life of gray when color is meant for you. To let joy run wild without direction can lead to recklessness, to careless choices that cost more than they give. But directed joy is a source of life, fueling dreams, lifting spirits, spreading kindness, inspiring creation. When guided with wisdom, joy becomes a strength that multiplies, nourishing not only your own heart, but the hearts of those around you. The difference lies always in direction. Silencing emotion is denial, directing emotion is mastery. One cuts you off from yourself, the other connects you more deeply to who you are meant to be. Strength is not shown in the face that never breaks, in the voice that never trembles, or in the heart that never cries. Strength is shown in the soul that feels everything yet chooses to walk with grace, chooses to act with intention, chooses to turn every emotion into a lesson and a step forward. Every great life has been built on this truth. The leaders who changed the world, the healers who mended the broken, the artists who created beauty that still lives today, they all felt deeply. They did not silence their emotions, they directed them. Their anger against injustice became movements. Their grief over loss became compassion for the suffering. Their joy in creation became gifts to generations. They proved that strength is not in pretending to feel nothing, but in directing feelings into something greater than themselves. This is the strength you are called to carry. Do not silence your heart. Do not chain your feelings. Feel them, hear them, and then guide them with wisdom. That is where strength lies. A calm heart in chaos speaks louder than anger in noise. There is a rare kind of strength in the person who can stand in the middle of storms, yet remain steady, who can hear the shouts of conflict around them, yet choose not to add to the clamor. Anyone can raise their voice when provoked. Anyone can throw their pain back into the world with sharp words. But it takes true courage to remain calm, to hold your ground with quiet strength, to let your peace echo louder than anger ever could. Chaos comes to all of us. Sometimes it arrives in the form of people who misunderstand us, sometimes in unexpected loss, sometimes in unfairness that shakes our very sense of justice. The natural instinct is to fight noise with more noise, to prove ourselves by shouting louder, to show our strength by striking back. But noise only feeds noise. Anger only breeds more anger. It is the calm heart that cuts through, the heart that does not lose itself in the storm, but instead becomes the anchor others can hold on to. To remain calm does not mean you feel nothing. It does not mean you are blind to the wrongs done to you or deaf to the insults thrown at you. It means you refuse to give chaos the power to dictate who you are. It means you choose wisdom over impulse, grace over rage, clarity over confusion. That choice alone speaks louder than 100 angry voices, because calm cannot be faked. It is born of control, of discipline, of inner strength that refuses to break. Think of water. When stirred into waves, it crashes and roars, but eventually settles back into stillness. When calm, it reflects the sky, it nourishes, it gives peace to the eyes that look upon it. A calm heart works the same way. In the middle of noise, it becomes a mirror, showing others that there is another way, showing that silence guided by strength is more powerful than shouting guided by fear. Anger tries to prove itself, calm simply stands and needs no proof. This kind of strength comes from practice. It is not natural to remain calm when insulted, when betrayed, when life feels unfair. But each time you resist the pull of anger, each time you breathe instead of lash out, each time you pause before you respond, you build the muscles of emotional strength. Slowly, the noise of the world loses its grip on you, and you begin to stand taller, more grounded, more certain of yourself. And here lies the truth. Anger and noise may feel powerful in the moment, but it fades. Words spoken in fury may satisfy pride for a second, but they leave scars, they burn bridges, they scatter peace. Calm in chaos, however, lasts. People remember the one who held their dignity in fire, who refused to be dragged into mud, who stood with unshaken grace when the world wanted a reaction. Calm builds trust, it inspires respect. It teaches without speaking. When you control your emotions, you do not deny their presence. You honor them by refusing to let them harm you or others. Anger tells you something is wrong, but calm gives you the clarity to respond wisely. Fear warns you of danger, but calm reminds you to think before you act. Even joy, when held in calm, becomes deeper, more rooted, more lasting. Calm does not silence emotion. It directs emotion into strength. In a world where so many shout, where anger is louder than reason, the one who is calm becomes a voice of truth. They do not need to prove themselves with noise. Their presence alone speaks of power. Their silence is not weakness. It is command. Their restraint is not fear, it is mastery. To be that person is to carry a strength that the storms of life cannot shake. A calm heart in chaos speaks louder than anger in noise, and in that quiet strength lies the power to change not just your life, but the lives of all who look to you in the storm. Controlled emotion builds bridges. Suppressed emotion builds walls. The way we handle what we feel decides whether we connect with others or isolate ourselves from them. Suppression may seem like a shield that keeps us safe, but in truth it creates distance. It makes us hide behind silence, behind forced smiles, behind masks that tell the world nothing is wrong, while our hearts ache inside. Over time, those hidden emotions pile up like bricks, one stacked on top of the other, until a wall stands between us and those who love us. But when we control emotion, when we acknowledge it and guide it, something very different happens. Instead of walls, we build bridges, pathways of understanding, compassion, and trust that bring people closer. Suppression is often born of fear. Fear of being misunderstood, fear of being judged, fear of appearing weak. So we swallow the words we want to say, we hide the tears we want to release, we bite back the truths that are heavy on our hearts. For a while, this seems easier, but those unspoken emotions remain alive, and like a river trapped behind a dam, they push harder and harder until cracks appear. Eventually, they spill out in anger and resentment, in sudden outbursts that seem to come from nowhere. Suppression does not protect relationships, it silently erodes them. Controlled emotion, on the other hand, is honest yet careful. It does not deny the truth, but it delivers it with wisdom. Instead of hiding hurt, controlled emotion allows us to say, "This action hurt me, but I want to work through it." Instead of burying anger, it allows us to set boundaries firmly but respectfully. Instead of pretending sadness does not exist, it allows us to share our vulnerability, giving others the chance to comfort us. In this way, control creates connection, because honesty guided by wisdom builds trust. Think of two people in conflict. One suppresses their feelings, saying nothing, pretending all is well. On the surface, the peace looks intact, but inside bitterness grows. The other chooses control. They acknowledge their frustration, but speak with calm, explaining, listening, seeking to resolve instead of escalate. That simple choice creates a bridge. It invites understanding, it opens space for growth, and it strengthens the bond between them. Where suppression builds silent resentment, control builds active trust. Even in personal growth, the difference is clear. When you suppress emotions, you cut yourself off from learning their lessons. You refuse to hear what they are trying to teach you, and in doing so, you repeat the same mistakes. But when you control emotions, you listen and then guide them. Anger teaches you what needs to change. Fear teaches you where courage must grow. Sadness teaches you what truly matters. Joy teaches you gratitude. By controlling emotion, you allow it to serve you rather than imprison you. That is how bridges are built, not only between you and others, but also within yourself, connecting your mind, heart, and spirit. Relationships thrive when emotions are controlled with care. Families grow stronger when members can share honestly without cruelty. Friendships deepen when people feel safe to speak their truths. Love becomes lasting when partners can express feelings with gentleness rather than suppression. Bridges are built in every one of these cases because control opens the path for understanding, for reconciliation, for deeper bonds. Suppression closes the path, turning hearts into separate islands where no one dares to cross. Control also gives you the ability to reach across divides in a larger world. The calm leader, the patient teacher, the compassionate friend, all of them rely on controlled emotion to connect with those around them. They do not silence their feelings, but they guide them to build respect and trust. Their presence becomes a bridge others walk across when they seek comfort, wisdom, or direction. It is clear, then, that the difference between suppression and control is the difference between isolation and connection. Suppression hides the truth and leaves hearts distant. Control honors the truth and creates space for closeness. Suppression makes people strangers to each other, even within the same home. Control makes people allies, standing together even when the world grows difficult. Controlled emotion builds bridges, suppressed emotion builds walls, And the choice between the two decides whether we walk alone or walk together. Mastery of feelings is the mark of resilience, not the absence of vulnerability. Too often people confuse strength with numbness, as though the one who feels nothing is somehow stronger than the one who feels deeply. But the truth is, numbness is not strength, it is avoidance. To master your feelings does not mean you stop being human. It means you rise above the impulses that try to control you. It means you can stand in your vulnerability without being shattered by it. And that is where true resilience is born. Every person carries emotions that rise uninvited. Fear knocks at the door when the future is uncertain. Anger flares when injustice is done. Sadness falls heavy when loss arrives. Vulnerability is not weakness in these moments. It is the evidence that you are alive, that you care, that your heart is open enough to feel what life brings. What separates the fragile from the resilient is not whether they feel, but what they do with those feelings. To master them is to hold them in your hands, acknowledge their weight, and then decide how they will shape you instead of letting them break you. Think of the strongest people you have known. They are not the ones who never cried, who never admitted fear, who never showed pain. They are the ones who cried but rose again, who feared but still walked forward, who felt pain but let it sharpen them instead of destroy them. They did not hide their vulnerability, they carried it with dignity. In their mastery of emotion, they discovered resilience, the ability to bend without breaking, to fall yet rise, to hurt yet heal. Vulnerability, when denied, becomes a weakness. It turns into shame, into silence, into suppressed feelings that eventually overflow. But vulnerability embraced and guided becomes a source of connection and growth. When you admit, yes, I am afraid, but I will move forward anyway, you turn fear into courage. When you confess, yes, I am hurt, but I will not let bitterness take me, you turn pain into wisdom. This is mastery. This is resilience. To master feelings does not mean to control every tear or to silence every tremor in the voice. It means you choose not to let them drive your actions recklessly. It means you let them teach you without letting them own you. A mastered heart is one that still beats wildly at times but refuses to surrender to chaos. It knows that feelings are real but not always final. It knows that emotions are visitors, not rulers. Resilience shows itself most clearly in struggle. When disappointment comes, suppression would have you pretend you are fine, but that only deepens the wound. Mastery allows you to grieve the loss, to admit the hurt, but also to rise again with new understanding. When insult comes, suppression tells you to hold your anger in until it turns into silent resentment. Mastery lets you feel that anger, yet directs it into firm boundaries, spoken with clarity instead of cruelty. That balance is resilience in its purest form. And there is beauty in resilience because it transforms vulnerability into connection. The one who hides all feelings becomes unreachable, locked behind walls that no one can cross. But the one who acknowledges feelings and directs them wisely becomes approachable, trusted, even inspiring. People are drawn not to perfection, but to authenticity. They are drawn to those who can feel deeply and yet stand tall because it shows them that they too can endure. In truth, mastery of feelings is a lifelong journey. There will be moments when you slip, when emotions seem too strong, when vulnerability feels unbearable. But each time you pause, breathe, and guide yourself instead of reacting blindly, you grow stronger. Each moment of mastery builds resilience like bricks in a foundation until one day you find that nothing shakes you the way it once did. Mastery of feelings is the mark of resilience, not the absence of vulnerability. And it is in this mastery that we discover the unbreakable spirit within us. Emotion control is choosing grace over impulse, growth over reaction. Life presents us with countless moments when our first instinct is to react without thought, to let our emotions spill out in raw and unshaped ways. Someone offends us and our impulse is to lash back with sharper words. A door closes in our face and our impulse is to complain, to blame, to curse the world. When disappointment arrives, our impulse is to give up, to shrink, to surrender. Yet, in every one of those moments, we are offered a choice to let impulse rule us or to rise above it with grace. The difference between the two is the difference between a life controlled by circumstances and a life guided by strength. Impulse is quick, loud, and often destructive. It feels powerful in the moment, but leaves regret in its wake. Words spoken in anger cannot be unsaid. Actions taken in frustration cannot always be undone. Reaction gives us temporary satisfaction, but it robs us of peace. Grace, on the other hand, is steady. It pauses where impulse rushes. It softens where impulse hardens. It does not deny the feeling, but it decides how that feeling will be expressed. Grace allows you to choose dignity over destruction, kindness over cruelty, wisdom over recklessness. That choice is not weakness, it is mastery, and in that mastery lies your true strength. Growth is born in the same way. Reaction is the easy road. It asks nothing of us but surrender. It does not challenge us to think, to reflect, to rise higher. But growth asks us to take that very moment of hurt, fear, or frustration and turn it into a lesson. When you choose growth over reaction, you ask yourself, what can this moment teach me? What strength can I find here? What patience can I build? What wisdom can I carry forward? This shift transforms life itself. Instead of becoming a victim of emotion, you become a student of it, learning how each feeling can serve your journey instead of slowing it. Think of a person who always reacts in anger. They may silence others, they may win arguments, but inside they lose respect, they lose trust, they lose peace. Their anger grows until it becomes a cage. Now think of a person who chooses grace instead. They acknowledge anger, but they channel it into clear and firm truth spoken calmly. They set boundaries without cruelty. They defend themselves without violence. They walk away when needed without bitterness. That person builds bridges instead of walls, and they carry themselves with quiet power. Their presence becomes light in dark places. Choosing growth over reaction also reshapes failure. When faced with disappointment, reaction says, quit. It says, you are not enough. It says, stop trying. But growth says, try again, but this time wiser. Growth sees failure not as the end, but as the beginning of strength. Reaction pulls you backward, growth pushes you forward. The choice is always there, and the one who chooses growth learns that nothing in life is wasted, not even pain. There will always be temptation to react quickly, to let emotions drive you without pause. But each time you resist that pull and choose grace instead, you become freer. Each time you choose growth instead of giving in to despair, you become stronger. This is not a single act, but a practice, a discipline that over time shapes you into someone who is steady, wise, and unshaken by the chaos of the world. And here lies the deeper truth. Grace does not only heal you, it heals others. Your calm in the face of conflict can calm the storm in another. Your patience in the middle of difficulty can inspire someone who has lost hope. Your choice to grow instead of react can show someone else that they too can rise. Emotion control then becomes more than personal power. It becomes a gift you give to the world. Emotion control is choosing grace over impulse, growth over reaction, and in that choice, you do not just protect your peace. You build a life that reflects wisdom, strength, and unshackable dignity. So in the end, we see that emotion control is not about denying our humanity. It is about embracing it with wisdom. It is not silence that makes us strong. It is guidance. It is not the absence of feeling that gives us power. It is the mastery of feeling. Anger, sadness, fear, and joy are not enemies to suppress. They are teachers to direct. When we guide them with calm, with grace, and with resilience, we build bridges instead of walls, we grow instead of break, and we shine instead of fade. Strength is not found in pretending we do not feel. It is found in choosing what to do with what we feel. It is choosing patience when anger tempts us, compassion when judgment calls us, and growth when failure tests us. That kind of strength cannot be shaken, for it comes not from the outside world, but from within the spirit. Carry this truth with you. Let your emotions remind you that you are alive, and let your control remind you that you are strong. Direct your feelings toward the life you want to build, and they will become your greatest allies. May you walk with calm in chaos, with grace in conflict, and with courage in vulnerability. I wish you all the strength to rise above reaction, the wisdom to guide your emotions with honor, and the peace that comes from living with mastery of the heart. Good luck on your journey, and thank you.